Good morning, good day. On this day, February 13th, 2021, this is Engineer Suraj Singh, your friend speaking from Bharat, India, addressing all my friends around globe regarding field engineering, civil field engineering, and very important topic it is in general as well as in practical, theory as well as in tutorial. Title being Civil Field Engineering, Designs, Construction, Methods, Contracts, and Organizational Issues like communication, coordination, quantity, quality. All these is in sequence of these talks. This is one of important talks for everyone. Many times I talked, and I of course have repeated many talks just for refreshing everyone. And engineering in this world and engineering in nature have been talked at length, and still there is no coordinate of that length where we can say this is terminal coordinate. It goes on and on and on. Every day you can understand it differently because civil engineering is something which nobody can define in its masterpiece. Nobody can perfectly define what civil engineering stands for because it is for human development. This is an only engineering which I can say where original work is done. Original work doesn't mean work related to formula and codes, but thinking, conception, calculative work. Everything can be calculated in conception, in imagination, and it can, whatever you imagine, like imagine horizon and there is no horizon. We see there's a horizon and there is just nothing as such. And you see there is a mirage and nothing exists as such. When we say I contemplate in my mind too much, mind helps me, it helps you as well. Higher degree of contemplation, higher degree of thought and building templates in our mind of whatever nature or whatever possible product gives us information about what we can do, what can be done. That's very important point. There was nothing when this universe was built, but it was built because of some engineering, though it might not be named engineering that time, but function was original. Whatever was built in nature, I think still we cannot build. It's not possible to build what that power built. Reference again I give, we have about 12,500 kilometer diameter sphere that's called globe or earth. It is so big, 12,500 kilometer in diameter. Can we build even 1 kilometer as such model of this earth? I think answer would be no. Even half a kilometer, answer would be no. Because we do not know what God has done. I sometimes read internal structure of earth tentatively, I mean not exactly, but I could get information from books written by many scholars of soil mechanics or earth sciences. And everybody, I think, in elementary studies, we know that earth is divided into three parts internally, top part is called crust, internal part is called mantle, and most internal part is called core. This is structure of lithosphere. Lithosphere means solid part of earth. There is about 20 kilometer or more, though it is much more, but let us consider 18 to 20 kilometer above sea level, which is useful air that helps us to survive. There is so much wealth hidden inside this lithosphere, which we cannot see. We cannot even understand what is that, except some wealth in crust, which we consider about 35 kilometer from surface of earth downwards, or some writer has referred it as apple skin of an apple. It's just, I can say, about 2.5 kilogram, 2.5 density it is, gram per cc. And if you go down, you will find another which is 5.5 kilogram possibly per cc. And then if you go to middle, or enter into core portion, we shall find it's about more than 8 kilogram per cc. This is what we understand by references, from references, just to actually know what it could be. Nobody has seen that. Nobody has gone to that level. Nobody has reached to core. Nobody has reached to mantle. It is all tested information. I mean, waves of past might have been passed to such strata, and we know what it could be. This means we don't know what it is all about. We don't know. Yet we say it is like that, like this. We don't know anything about that. Right? If we don't understand what it's all about, and we boast a lot, we know about earth. We are using natural resources which have been embedded within solid mass of lithosphere by nature. These have been embedded or these have been reformed. That's another issue. But all wealth comes from earth. Air we use, that's another wealth which we do not pay to air anything. Same way we do not pay anything to sunlight, sun. We do not pay anything to rain, and we do not pay anything to any other agency that works around for existence and survival of human life. Nobody sends any bill to us. Sun doesn't send any bill, and all other agencies do not send any bill. But we enjoy their product free of cost regularly. Did you ever think like that? If you go to market and buy something, you have to pay something, right? But these agencies give you everything free of cost, and I think that's why we don't value them. We pollute air, we run away from sunlight because it's too hot sometimes, and of course it gives cold. So what actually we think? Suppose these agencies used to charge us for every service, what would have happened? This means nature, God has been very kind towards earth creatures, toward us, that you enjoy these services free of cost. Even you use electrical bulb, electrical light, water services, you have to pay for everything. But here we are given support by nature. Enjoy my free service, don't worry. Why I am referring to this? Because people don't realize these facts. People don't think about these. Sun gives us something which in all combined whole power stations of world cannot give. Sun is such an electrical management, electrical powerhouse given by nature, that is direct electrical supply without any power station, without any transmission line, without anything, it is there. So why don't we understand it this way? We boast about we are short of power, we are short of this and that. But God is not short of power. God is not short of air. God is not short of water. Water bodies, master water bodies are sea and oceans. Sea and oceans. What do you understand by them? How could this be formed within lithosphere? What could be the mechanism? Scientists may something, say something. Anybody, whoever may say something, I don't mind that. Everybody has a right to innovate. Everybody has a right to conduct research. But what as a person without having any scholar background can think? And moreover, we know salinity in seawater, from where does it come? When river water goes into sea at sea point, it's not salty, it's not saline, but it becomes saline later on. Question arises. This means water of sea or ocean has salinity from nature, and that nature is bottom of sea or ocean. Bottom of sea, which is, you can say, bottom of sea which is 4 kilometer on an average below sea water, and ocean which is on an average 10 kilometers below sea level. What type of salt exists there? We have to understand. It's rocks nature that exists there. You generally see on ground, near ground, you won't find that kind of rocks which are available at sea bottom. These rocks at surface may be sedimentary rocks, we can say, which have been formed by virtue of movement of time and in hundreds and thousand years, and also those rocks which are not sedimentary but these are volcano rocks, or you can say igneous rocks, which don't have stratification but solid mass, which is a product of eruption of volcano, lava, magma, that is volcanic rock. But rocks which are available at sea bottom or lowest profile of sea, these are generally called basaltic in nature, means base of that sea is salty, and when water enters into that portion of their body of water, that becomes, of course, it salt mixes with this water and becomes saline. It is also a part of engineering. We can say applied geology and applied geology. Geology is also a part of engineering, that is civil engineering. Though it's not mandatory, it should be mandatory, I should say, because if you do not know what is lithosphere, what is ground, what is rock, what is sea, well, I can say incomplete engineer. Incomplete in the sense that how can you understand foundations, how can you understand formation level, and how can you understand nature of salt, nature of earth, courses, substrata. It is basically an elementary engineering subject, not necessary, it's not mandatory, not necessarily not mandatory, but mandatory or no mandatory. Nobody can stop someone, nobody can stop anyone from studying that one. That point we have to understand. When we say construction is affected by civil engineering, yes, it is. That's true. Sorry. Construction is affected by civil engineering, and civil engineering is mother of construction, and that construction is done through projects, and EPC is one of them, construction is one of them. We have to be very, very careful about the use of terms. Life of civil engineer on earth, I am saying on earth because there may be other civil engineers on other planets, I don't know. How can we say no? Possibly must be. Common sense, common sense is very vital, vital requirement in civil engineering. If I don't have common sense, then I can't do civil engineering, to be very frank, because civil engineering is very common engineering among all engineerings. This engineering is not limited, it is unlimited. There is no certain product and we can say only this is done in this engineering. Civil engineering is democratic engineering. It is full of freedom of thoughts, full of freedom to think, full of freedom to try, and full of freedom to deliver, provided budget is available. It's actually revolutionary engineering, you can say. Civil engineering is revolutionary engineering. It can produce whatever is difficult to be contemplated. It has produced. Many examples are there. No need of referring them. Why should we refer? Why should we not refer? We think our way. Designs, contemplation, development, all are required. If you say, if you have budget, how to spend a budget, civil engineering can tell you this is way. For social development, for economic development, for industrial development, you have to do projects, you have to apply technology, all developed technologies, and industry is that destiny, industrialization of every nation, which has been done almost in one half of world. Various scales. Industrialization is only way to develop world by optimally using earth material, earth wealth into useful products that can be used by civility, by humanity, provided these products continue to be converted to other forms. But unfortunately, these products have not been used in that way, and these products are wasted and then thrown like plastics, like byproducts of hydrocarbons. We have abused hydrocarbons products, fossil fuels, you can say. Fossil fuels, all generally we have discovered through reservoirs below sea, and we have extracted them, and still we are hungry to find more and more reservoirs. All those countries with pertinent oil production, they are in search of such reservoirs so that they can get more and more. This means our hunger has not been quenched still. This product, fossil fuels, converted to hydrocarbons, which could take millions of years or thousands of years, and we just take them out and abuse and burn it. This means we don't value time, we don't value process, we just want to consume whatever we have, and we consume them through our vehicles, and then we have exhausted it, and also we were so hungry for this, we use the byproduct into polymers, into plastics. God might not have been thought of that even, that these my kids would spoil my work. To be very frank, we have contributed very efficiently, to spoil whatever God constructed for us. Construction by God. It has been brilliant construction by nature. If we just try to understand our universe, our solar system, I am saying universe and solar system separately because universe is not limited to solar system. There may be many more solar systems in the same universe, or even there may be more and more universes around, we cannot say. We don't have that vision, we don't have that focus, we don't have that longest travel, and we cannot say what sort of nature we have. We can just observe There's a sky, there are stars, there are planets, there are this and that. So whatever we can see, we can just think of that. And I always think that civil engineering on earth is not that vast, which civil engineering in universe. In Brahmand, civil engineering is on top there. We can even think of that. I always repeat same statement, and I like it to repeat. Maybe you agree with me that universe is very perfect. It's outstandingly perfect, I can say, not very perfect. It's an outstandingly perfect example. It's a perfect product that God has produced. How many planets are there? What sizes of these planets? Dynamism of these planets. They aren't stationary, they're always in motion, in various motions, and system work perfectly, perform perfectly, never stop, never take rest. And the system is dedicated, devoted to world. So we sit on earth, but we get service from 15 crore kilometers from here. We are not surprised. This happens. We know Sun is located at 15 crore kilometers from here on earth. And similarly, Jupiter is located 75 to 76 crore kilometers from here. And all these planets directly or indirectly contributing to humanity. And particularly Sun is directly helping us, and there's no need to prove it. No need to prove it. We get every day solar power, and it is used for our bodybuilding, for our food, crops, for our life, and we get services by clouds, by seas, by air. We all time get services through these agencies. And that's really wonderful how support system has been created by that power. We call support system in work on projects, but this project of universe, you can say, created by God, this also might be project sometime. Now it's no more project because it's in operation. So it's like, you can say, universe industry, universe mechanism, universe, whatever you can say. Universe here has a operational, you can say, institution, operational body, which gives us power, which gives us support, which gives us source to live. And we have been enjoying this since this system was delivered. But I sometimes imagine very correctly, because imagination is also a part of civil engineering, because without imagination nothing can be done. Dreams means imagination. We dream and we build. So when I started dreaming in civil engineering, because I was taught like that, you have to imagine. Every problem is started with imagination, assumption, presumption, like that. And then we say, okay, we assume this, but we prove this also. Our assumption was true or false. We say like that. So when I talk like this, I say, there might be some assumption with God. Of course, God doesn't need any assumption, but let us see our way. Suppose there is no universe, there is no solar system, and God gives me a job. Okay, civil engineer, you create this solar system. Just think of that. You construct this solar system. I give you a project. This is my EPC project I am giving you. God says, this is EPC turnkey project for you. I'll give you whatever you want. You do this project. EPC turnkey project, and that is title is construction of solar system. Maybe you are joking, you say. Yes, I am joking. That's right, but because I claim I am an engineer and you claim you are an engineer, and there are engineers and engineers throughout the world. So what's wrong in this imagination? Say God is my master, God is my client, and God says, I want you produce solar system for me. Now I agree, okay, I'll do this, but I don't submit my CV, my pre-qualification, or my credentials because I don't have any except small degree of engineering or other engineering or experience. So God gives me that project. Just imagine if it happens, or after my death it happens. What shall I do? I have, of course, the resources. I'll give. So it's something beautifully understood. You can say it's a kind of very funny imagination that I'm given a task by nature. Do it. I don't even know what resources I need. But it's okay, no problem. But I forget when God says something, God shall provide me thought also. God shall provide me contemplative power also, and also you can say imagination, and God shall do everything for me because God is testing me. And you test something, you have to provide knowledge first. You have to provide lessons first. After that, lessons only you can just examine student. So I am a student and God is my professor. So God says, this is space, nothing in this area, only skies, and you have to produce solar system. This is my requirement, and this is my feed. I can say God gives me feed also. That's called front end engineering design. And before that, philosophy also God gives, means I want to use it this way. This is my specification. This is my you can say my desire. In a way that is imagination as well. I dream that I should use this solar system. So it's your task. You do it, and I'll give you. That's my honors or employer's requirements. Employer's requirement to come to me. That is employer requirement, which we say in projects. Employer requirement. We have taught this employer requirement. If you have seen that, if you have seen that, we talked of employer's requirement here in these indexes. Let us say, I'm just trying to enjoy this talk, not to just bore it, so that we can enjoy this way. Employer's requirement. So index here, I think there was an index there. It's going slow and taking time. So let us say enjoy. Let us enjoy this way. Are available there. Financial reference, employer supplied materials, employer's requirements. Although some here, I should be somewhere here. Employer requirement, administration, representative, personal, delegates, personal, agreement, determination, contractors. Well, that's called general provisions, employer use of context document, context use of employer's document. Well, I think somewhere it is here. I cannot just pinpoint immediately. Yeah, equipment and employers' personal. So, there's so many provisions. We can't immediately go to them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We will see them. In a sense of just like we say contract data, and feed is given, and I am asked to do it forward. what I should do. It's a question. I imagine I was there at that time. I was there in those days when this was done. How can I move? How can I move further? Because we are going to build something which is completely unknown, but we have to do it. Well, it's not RCC, it's not pre-stressed concrete, it's not structural steel, nothing. It's just spherical objects, spherical bodies. We have to, spherical or elliptical, you may say, whatever you may say, we have to do it. If you take example of Earth, it is very small body, very small body, though it's not small, but comparatively, if you take it in consonance to Sun, for example, or Jupiter, it's very small. Sun is about 1.3 lakh kilometer in diameter. So 1.3 lakh kilometer in diameter, and you see volume of that body, spherical body, solid body. How much material do you need for that? And from where to procure that material? Well, after all, nature's God must be somewhere. How to get material for all these planets, all planets? Material, though it may not be percentage wise very big, but quantity wise is big. Because percentage wise, now we are saying, because this, if you take volume of skies, volume of universe, if you take volume of universe may be too much in comparison to volume of solid planets volume and volume of gross volume of universe. I think it's limited, it's very ignorable. Even then, it's ignorable in terms of quantity, percentages, but material. I had worked, I had calculated such approximately, very approximate. I'm not scientist, I'm not astronomer, but just for purpose of understanding system. From where we have to start if I construct universe? From where I have to start? It says that king is ruler of solar system. King of solar system. Okay, that's true. If you start from sun only, let us say we start from sun because sun is the center point. How much material do we need? From where it come? That's the point. Is it energy converted to material, or is direct procured material? Point is interesting. If it's energy converted to material, in that case energy is required, and the technology which converts it to material, that technology also required. But we don't have. And it's not only for sun, it's for each other planet, every other planet. It's also Earth, which is a very small body, but its speed of motion is extensive. I think there is some information that if you reach sun, by chance if some vehicle reach suns, if there's a limit, if you have lesser than that limit, your speed of vehicle, then sun shall absorb it. Well, I think it's 2.5 million, I'm sure, 2.5 or 2.25 like that million kilometer per hour. If that vehicle does not have that speed, it's lesser than that vehicle shall disappear into sun. Sun shall drink it, you can say, sun shall suck it. And if it's more than what I say, it shall pass through space of sun and come out. Means you have to build that quality into that objective, object sun, and you cannot reach otherwise. Our earth, which we see now, it is two motions, as like others, maybe more. Was perpetual rotation on its own axis. There's another motion, it's called orbit, in orbit. So orbital motion and perpetual motion, we have these motions. These motions are actually proven by scientists, and these motions are stability providers for Earth. If these motions do not exist, I don't think Earth can stay. It's not only for Earth, it's for all planets. Some motion planets have. There may be different speed, different timings of revolutions, completing one revolution. It's different, but all these planets and sun have fixed system, and that fixed system, if we have to produce, well, I think it's impossible task. As I give example, if I'm asked to produce 1 kilometer or half kilometer ball on Earth, I think it's not very easy. We can't do that and install in solar system, it's not possible. So my job was to construct universe. Maybe it's a dream, it's like poem or imaginary story. But God did it. And from where, how, I don't believe in what theories say, what the thesis say, or what you can say, unjustified explanations or you can say scholars speak about. I have to follow and do it. Of course, when I get complete data, complete information and material, then we can start building each planet. But that system is unknown. You may be thinking I'm wasting your time with talking irrelevant. No, it's not irrelevant. It's linked to our engineering. What we do in our engineering, when we think of some buildings or structures, you know what we think? It's complete contemplation. It's not simply artistical contemplation. It is aesthetic contemplation. No, it is structural contemplation. I used to read some books, and one writer wrote, a good civil engineer is that who can think of what longest beam one can produce, what safe longest beam I can produce economically and functionally useful. That's right. It's job of civil engineer, or you may say civil engineer modified structural engineer, improved one, is job. Because development means gradually you have to expand your spans. You have to achieve more and more spans in structures. Time of arches have gone, time of domes have gone. It is a structure that benefits structures in the world. And of course, thinking which can't be answered. I can't answer about thinking. But thinking can answer me what I require, what I need, or what solution one can have. Thinking can answer. So, if we understand existing solar system, even then we cannot understand how it was origin, how it was originated. Point is very, very important. Of course, I am not able, I am not qualified to produce universe, even if I am given that task. And that is, in this body, if you remain, we cannot do that. Yes, when you leave this body and you are given some powerful body and you are given complete technology, what you should do in that case, I maybe will do something. But that at current stage, I think it's, it's only in dreams that we can build something. Building in dreams isn't that easy. Isn't that easy, That's something we say energy. Energy is of source to do everything. Energy, Shakti. When we analyze word of energy and you can say analysis, energy and analysis. Are these related? What do you think? Are these two terms related or these are not related? We know energy is a power. Energy is a power and it works its own way when it is left to itself. But when energy doesn't work its way, it explodes or it harms or it's converted to some other energy form. But if you understand our synthesized term energy, I am calling the synthetic term because it's not based on analysis, it's not based on understanding merits and demerits. It's based on that it shows its power. And that power unfortunately doesn't work whole time. Of course, energy is power and energy cannot be separated, but it can be converted to some other energy, some other power. Energy is a synthetic word. It's synthesis. Energy is complete amalgamation of certain powers into one. And here is that if we do not understand what this energy is all about, we cannot find any solution. Because once we have to understand energy itself, but construction is something very, very important and it is based on mental application. If we don't apply mind on construction and its precise designs, I think we make mistakes. Theories do work, we have information about what to think, how to think, we have various subjects. And these subjects are creative subjects which tells student what to do, how to do, when to do, and once you do, you just possibly, you can say, try to understand. When I say projects, you may say he's just going this way, that way, and just talking sometimes something and then going back. No, no, it's not that. I'm trying to come to point always. I try to come to point which is required. Because we should not forget, engineering cannot be done in isolation. No way. Engineering cannot be done in isolation. It is done in integration and in presence of all. Energy from everyone, whoever is involved, is used for purpose of construction. And construction is not alone, it's only a final product process, final product process that keeps us. Goal, only differences. Sometimes very much you can say logical, sometimes very much logical, and sometimes not logical. What we say is not necessary what I say is right. But based on my experience, I am speaking. Experience, just like books we read during studies, experience is also a book in mind. You cannot condemn this fact. When you study engineering in all levels, you study books and you are guided by professors what to do, what not to do. But when you work in field, you work on engineering after qualification, you work on responsibility, you work on obligation, and you are paid for that. So your learning skills are very high there. As we do not imagine, we see reality. We see, we use, not only see, we understand. We use all kind of resources there which were not even understood during studies. Those resources, human resources, like equipment resources or material resources or all other resources of all types, contribute to production of engineering product, or you can say public product, in which public is interested and public use them. That is what construction gives us. Construction gives us what we have to do, and we have to do. So there, what I want to say, there's a difference of approach. One is energetic approach, and or you can say this is comprehensive approach, while there's another one that is analytical approach. Both are different. In generality, if you consider approaches, if you have information in form of power, in form of something, we have to convert that to knowledge. We have to conduct long process of first understanding what is required and then doing it. If we do not know how to do it, we can learn it. There's a big difference in analysis and synthesis. Analysis and synthesis are opposite to each other, but both are engineering principles, both are engineering texts. Without analysis, synthesis is not possible, and without synthesis, analysis is not possible. When we imagine there is a synthetic product is there, and what it is we do not know. Product we know, but how it has been devised or constructed, that is not known. It's a big question. It's a big question because we say God shall take care of everything. That's right. But why do you push it to God? Why do you push the government to God? God is synthesis as well as analytical. Both it is. This resistance it's sometimes interesting to note that when we talk of for hours, discuss for something, results come. The results keep chain of further activities which we did, but we prevented host abusing by those people. Synthesis and analysis, if we can understand, engineering can become very easy. If we can understand analysis, if we understand analysis, and once we die, just like we have Well, it's a great achievement that we are thinking of engineering and we are thinking of how to work on that through contracts, through direct applications of engineering are done directly as well as through contracts. Both are important. When we talk of contracts, various contract terms are involved. And we talk of EPC, which means engineering design, is also included. And absolute responsibility of that representative, the organization. When we decide something, we have to implement that. And we don't have decision, then we have to find decision. We have to make decision one way or other way. We consider that, and whichever way is successful, that is proper method. Engineering is same means actually it starts with mind. When we say something that we have to do this, doing is based on what we think and what's requirement. Requirement creates more requirements, more changes. It's not simply I say that I have done it. If we did someone check my work, that is we have certain approach, some destiny to develop. Uh, Now, because we are talking engineering, if we are talking engineering and we are talking contracts and we are talking nature, all this combination actually is specifically important for whatever we do. We think of, we contemplate, and then produce. Nothing can be produced without power of thinking, and power of thinking gives voluminous power and take away what he is on. And we think a lot. We think a lot in our world of engineering. After thinking a lot, we make a lot in terms of papers, in terms of references, and which do not change every day. References, references for construction, references for organizing construction by using all the means of energies we do have. Construction is done by steps, not by just saying something and immediately we find that action comes to you to deliver that. It's the off approach of tiger. So task is we have to construct something. Construction is very difficult when doing it practically. First we have to think ourselves and record somewhere. Uh, Engineering is so defined, undefined, explainable, misunderstood, understood that no one can define in other works in our field. Engineering is based on development, but development also uses further development, further and further and further development. Don't think we can't do anything elsewhere on others on this planet or planet, but we should understand them first. When we close towards reliable document, we find certain information. Example, these contact documents. And we started with construction document, and now we are moving on design document with various. There are various companies, various methods, various processes conducted by such companies, organizations regarding construction and EPC methods. Both methods have their merits and demerits, but it's so that what we do, what we think is altogether different. We have to do something which is normal and which is unknown, which reflects in the mind of everybody. When we jump into world of construction, we jump into lot materials, unknown and known materials, unknown technology and working technology, and we move into different type. Employer has every right to suspend work if it looks that way. Employer may at any time instruct contractor to suspend progress of part or all of works, which instruction shall state date and cause of suspension. During such suspension, contractor shall protect, store and secure. Otherwise it says What do we imagine? What do we think? What do we establish in mind? Are worth or not worth that we experience by operating on projects. We produce designs and we produce construction along with master construction. Once upon a time, there was nothing, and engineering evolved gradually, and now it's called a system. System of design, system of construction, system of evolution, and unlimited one. Projects are announced every day, every time, and the version is also announced. Civil engineering. Yeah. What we do in engineering is used for human being, and every activity that we do is actually economical activity, because all such activities that we do through engineering are used by means of is uh, hmm. During such suspension, contractor shall protect, store, and secure such part or all works as case may be, against any deterioration, loss, or damage. To extend that case, cause of such suspension is you can say responsibility of contractor to search involve uh, uh, to extend that cause of suspension is responsibility of contractor. Consequence of employer suspension: payment for plants and materials after employer suspension and prolonged suspension shall not apply. Consequences of employer suspension: uh, uh, If contractor suffers delay and or incurs cost from complying with employer's instruction under employer suspension and or from resuming work under assumption of employers and you know you can say if we deal with construction and EPC, we have to be very, very shrewd, clever. Hmm. We can stick by copying all this onto our framing title. Though it's PDF's not possible, but it can be if it's Word. If you can do that, that's not a problem. But it is work. It's not title alone that is required. It's whole system that we are talking of. Payment for plant and materials after employer suspension. Contractor shall be entitled or payment of value as to date of suspension instructed under subclause employer suspension of plants and materials. or which have not been delivered to site. If a question is raised, says that contractor shall be entitled payment of value as on at at date of suspension instructed under employer suspension plant or materials which have not been delivered to site. If work on plant or delivery of plant or material has been has been suspended for more than 28 days and plant and materials were scheduled in accordance with program to have been completed and ready for delivery to site during suspension period, contractor provides employer with reasonable evidence that plant and materials comply with contract and contractor has marked plant and or materials as as employer's property in accordance with employer's instructions. Payment for plants and materials after employer suspension. Contractor shall be entitled to payment of value as at rate of suspension instructed under employer suspension of plant and or materials which have not been delivered to site. If work on plant or delivery of plant and or materials has been suspended for more than 28 days and plant and materials were scheduled plants and materials were scheduled in accordance with program to have been completed and ready for delivery to site during suspension period. Contractor provides employer with reasonable evidence that plant and or materials comply with contractor contract and contract has marked plant and or material as as employer's property in accordance with employer's instructions. Prolonged suspension. If suspension under clause employer suspension has continued for more than 84 days, contractor may give a notice to employer requesting permission to proceed. If employer does not give a notice under clause resumption of work within 28 days after receiving contractor's notice under this subclause, contractor may either agree to a further suspension, in which case parties may agree extension of time and or cost plus profit if the contractor incurs cost and or payment for suspended plant and or materials arising from total period of suspension, or and if parties fail to reach agreement under this paragraph. After giving a second notice to employer, treat suspension of after giving a notice to employer, treat suspension as an omission or affected part of works, as if it had been instructed under some clause variation by instruction. Variation by instruction with immediate effect, including release from whatever further obligation to protect, store and secure under 8-9 employer's suspension. If suspension affects whole of works, After, a second notice to employer treats suspension as an omission of affected part of works as if it had been instructed, variation by instruction with immediate effect, including release from whatever further obligation to protect, store and secure under 8.9 employer suspension. If suspension affects whole of works, contractor may give a notice of termination under termination of contractor. Termination by contractor. Resumption of work. Resumption of work. Contractor shall resume work as soon as practicable after receiving a notice from employer to proceed with suspended work. At time stated in notice, if not stated, immediately after contractor receives notice. Contractor and employer shall jointly examine works and plants and materials affected by suspension. Employer shall regard any deterioration and loss, damage or defect in works or plants or materials or Resumption of work is there now. It's there now. Stay. Test on completion. Test on completion. Contractor shall carry out tests on completion in accordance with this clause. Testing by contractor after submitting document under subclass as-built records and subclass 5.7 operation and maintenance manuals. Contract shall submit to employer not less than 42 days before date contractor intends to commence tests on completion. A detailed plan, detailed test program showing intended timing and resources required for these tests. Employer may review proposed test program and may give a notice to within 14 days after receiving this notice. Contractor shall revise compliance if employer gives no such notice within the 14 days after receiving test program or revised test program, employer shall be deemed to have given a notice of no objection. Contractor shall not commence tests on completion until a notice of no objection is given or is deemed to have been given by employer. In addition to any date shown in test program, contractor shall give a notice to engineer to employer or not less than 21 days of date after which contractor will be ready to carry out each of these tests on completion. Contractor shall commence test on completion within 14 days after this date, or any or such day or days as employer shall instruct, and shall proceed in accordance with contractor's test program to which employer has given or is deemed to have given a notice of no objection, unless otherwise stated in employers unless otherwise stated in employer's requirements. Tests on completion shall be carried out. Test on completion shall be carried out in stages in following sequence. What are sequences? Pre-commissioning tests, then commissioning tests, and then trial. Pre-commissioning tests on or off-site as appropriate, which shall include appropriate inspections and dry or cold functional tests to demonstrate for each item of works or section as still consistent or instructed. Now, pre-commissioning test as appropriate, it shall include appropriate inspections, dry and cold functional tests to demonstrate that each item of works or section can safely undertake next stage under subparagraph B. Commissioning tests, which shall include operational tests specified in employer's requirements or to demonstrate that works or section can be operated safely and as specified in employer's requirements under all available operating conditions, and trial operation to extent possible under available operating conditions, which shall demonstrate that works or section perform reliably and in accordance with contract. So trial operation to extent possible under available operating conditions, which shall demonstrate that works or section perform reliably and in accordance with contract. Test of each stage described in subparagraph above shall not be commenced until works or section have passed previous stage. other tests, any tests on completion. Works or section comply with of performance guarantee. Trial operation including performance testing shall not constitute a taking over under clause employers taking over. Any product produced by revenue any revenue or other benefit resulting from trial operation under this subclause shall be property of employer. As soon as works of section have, in contractor's opinion, passed each stage of test on completion described in paragraph A to C above, contractor shall submit a certified report of results of these tests to employer. Employer shall review each test report and may give a notice to contractor 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 stating extent to which results of test do not comply with contract. If employer does not give such a notice within 14 days after receiving results of test, employer shall be deemed to have given a notice of no objection. In considering results of tests on completion, employer shall make allowances for effect of use of any part of works by employer on performance of other characteristics of works. Delayed tests. Delayed tests. If contractor has given a notice under contractor's obligations that works or section, as case may be, are ready for tests on completion, and these tests are unduly delayed by employer, personal or by a cause for which employer is responsible, or subclause interference with tests on completion shall apply. If tests on completion are unduly delayed by contractor, employer may give a notice. Employer may give by giving a notice to contractor, require contractor to carry out tests within 21 days after receiving notice. Contractor shall carry out these tests on such day or days within this period of 21 days as contractor may fix, for which contractor shall give a prior notice to employer of not less than 7 days. If contractor fails to carry out tests on completion within this period of 21 days, after second notice is given by employer to contractor, employer personnel may proceed with tests. Contractor may attend and witness these tests within 28 days or, or Now, if contractor fails, means they will do it. Contractor may attend and witness these tests. Within 28 days of this test being completed, employer shall send a copy of test results to contractor. If employer incurs additional costs as a result of these tests, employer shall be entitled, subject to claims and for payment and IoT, to payment by contractor of costs reasonably incurred. Clause test and completion, subclause defects and rejection shall apply. Employer or contractor may require these failed tests and tests and completion on any related work to be repeated under same terms and conditions. Such repeated tests shall be treated as tests on completion for purposes of this clause. Failures to pass test and completion. Failures to pass test and completion. Okay, then we say if works or a section fail to pass test and completion repeated under retesting, employer shall be entitled to order further repetition of tests on completion under retesting, reject works if the fact of failure is to deprive employer of substantially whole benefit of works in which event employer shall have same remedies as are provided in, in subclass failure to remedy defects. Reject section if effect of failure is that section cannot be used for its intended purpose under contract, in which event employer shall have same remedy as provided in failure to remedy defects, issuing a taking over certificate if employer so requests. In event of paragraph above D, that is issue a taking over certificate, contractor shall then proceed in accordance with all other obligations under contract and employer shall be entitled sub, sub, subject to claims for payment and or EOT payment by contractor or reduction in contract price as described under subparagraph failure or remedy defects respectively. Entitlement shall be without prejudice to any other equivalent. Uh, I repeat, in event of subparagraph above, contractor shall then proceed in accordance with all obligations under contract. The employer shall be entitled claims for payment and or EOT to payment by contract or reduction of contract price as described under failure to remedy defects. Respectively, this entitlement shall be without prejudice to any other rights employer may have under control, contract or otherwise. Except as stated in subclass failure to pass test on completion and subclause taking over parts of works. Work shall be taken over by employer when works have been completed in accordance with contract, including passing of tests on completion and except as allowed in subparagraph below, that is in taking over certificate, which will not substantially affect safe use or reject reject application by giving a notice to contractor with reasons. This notice shall specify work required to be done, defects required to be remedied, and or documents required to be submitted by contractor to enable taking over certificate to be issued. Contractor shall then complete work, remedy such defects, and or submit such documents before giving a further notice under has given or is deemed to have given to as built records submitted under subparagraph A of subclause as built records, if applicable, employer has given or is deemed to have given a notice of no objection to provisional operational and maintenance manuals or NM manuals for works submitted under operation and maintenance manuals. If applicable, if applicable, contractor has carried out training as described under training and taking over certificate for works has been issued or is deemed to have been issued in accordance with sub certificate by giving a notice to employer not more than 14 days before works well in contractor's opinion be complete and ready for taking over. If works are divided into sections, contractor may similarly apply for a taking over certificate for each section. If whatever part of works is taken over under taking over parts of works, remaining works or sections shall not be taken over until conditions described in subparagraphs A to E above have been fulfilled. If employer does not issue taking over certificate or reject contractor's application within this period of 28 days, and if conditions described in subparagraph above have been fulfilled, with fulfilled works or sections shall be deemed to have been completed in accordance with contract on 14th day after employer receives contractor's notice of application, and taking over certificate shall be deemed to have been issued. I repeat this last. If employer does not issue taking over certificate or if employer does not issue taking over certificate or reject contractor's shall be deemed to have been completed in accordance with contract on 14th day after employer receives contractor's notice of publication, and taking over certificate shall be deemed to have been issued. Taking over parts of works. Parts of works other than sections shall not be taken over or used by employer except as may be stated in employer's requirement. That is not possible due to available possible as soon as practicable, and in whatever case before expiry date of relevant date of notification period. If in 2 minutes time.